Chapter 44. Although the passing of the spaceship, if indeed that's what it was, the Naval Weather Station at Pearl Harbor claimed it had been a meteor, set the hijinks compass needle spinning in wild abandon. It regained its senses after an hour and resumed its obsequious fidelity to the domineering north. In the meantime, to keep them on course, Bernard took fixes on the moon and the constellations of Orion and Buddy Holly. They breezed into Kalohi Channel, making for Honolulu. The wind had its arms around them. The sea dandled them onto its knee. "Do you suppose," asked Lee Cherie, "that they were really from Argon? Either there or L.A. They had a strange smell about them." Mothballs. Was that it? They got their turbans and robes out of an old Shriner's trunk, or else naphthalene is used as underarm deodorant where they come from. Bernard, suppose they were from another planet. Could they be right about redheads? Are we really moonstruck mutants whose weaknesses are betrayed by the sun? I can tell you this much. In Central America, South America, and Mexico, there are prevailing myths about a race of red-headed Caucasians who appeared thousands of years ago and conquered tribe after tribe with benevolent magic. As a matter of fact, the Incas, Aztecs, and Mayas attribute the development of their highly advanced civilization to the Red Beards, as they called them. The pyramids and the other massive New World masonries were built by these demigods. The oral traditions of dozens of major ethnic legends extends into Oceania as well. The great stone heads of Easter Island are said to be portraits of those same carrot tops. I hate it when people call me Carrot Top. Me too. The carrot has never lived. The carrot has never lived that could match my top. Well, go on. Myth is crystallized history. All these stories couldn't possibly be coincidence. So, assuming that there was a race of demi-divine redheads, and assuming that one day it just up and vanished from the face of the earth, the accounts are consistent about that too. That leaves us with an inviting hoop through which to slam dunk our basketballs of romantic bullshit. Yes? Okay, one example. The Redbeards had extraordinary capabilities. They were masters of, among other things, pyramid power, an incredibly effective harnessing of natural energies so mysterious and complex that modern science hasn't begun to understand it yet. Where did the Redbeards acquire these abilities, so far removed from the mainstream of knowledge as it has evolved on Earth? Could it be that they were extraterrestrials? If our wimpy intellects will permit us to entertain that possibility, then we could nail us together a little hypothesis. The Redbeards come here from Argon, bringing with them the keys to pyramid power and who knows what other Argonian technologies. A revolution then occurs on Argon. The red-headed ruling class is overthrown. Eventually, the rebels send a task force to Earth and vaporize the red-headed colonies here. Or maybe the Redbeards were exiled to Earth after a revolt, or war had already taken place on Argon. Later, the new Argonian regime, it would be blonde, like the couple on Lahaina, decides that the exiles are growing too strong on our little planet, and wishing to eliminate the possibility of future counter-revolution, dispatch an army to get rid of them with some kind of device that is beyond our conception. Poof! Sayonara, Redbeards. We could work out variations of this scenario, but any way you slice it, it would account for both the presence and sudden disappearance of the Redbeards, as well as for the antipathy toward red hair among contemporary Argonians. The Redbeards might have been connected to Mars, the red planet. More likely, though, the conflict on Argon would have been between lunar and solar forces. The Redbeards would have been a lunar people, mystic, occult, changeable, feministic, spiritual, pacific, agrarian, artistic, and erotic. While the yellow hairs would have been solar, abstract, rational, prosaic, militaristic, industrial, patriarchal, unemotional, and Puritan. It's a classic struggle here on Earth. Since suns and moons are universal, the struggle could extend throughout the universe, or at least throughout our own solar system. It's a conflict that goes all the way back to the rift between Lucifer and Jehovah. The sun is Jehovah's, but Lucifer rules that old devil moon. Jesus, said Lee Cherie, that's good. You ought to write for Acid Comics. But where do we present-day earthbound redheads fit in? Are we throwbacks? Descendants of the Redbeards? Maybe. They could have copulated with Earthlings, or in some other more esoteric way have affected the gene pool. However, my guess would be that nature, under the impetus of the moon, is trying to revolve another superior race, trying to recreate the destroyed Redbeards. It keeps planting red seeds. Some germinate, some don't. Some grow in eccentric ways. Lots of false starts and imperfections. Lunar nature is trying to get the bugs out of the new model before it moves on to the next stage of redheaded evolution. Meanwhile, the sun takes its toll. So, redheads are either descendants of demigods or are potential demigods? That's nice. I like that. She kissed his ear. She pinched his buttocks. One thing for sure, you and I make love better than ordinary mortals. That's a fact. But do we know how to make love stay? I can't even think about it. The best I can do is play it day by day. In times like these, I'm not sure if any lovers have a chance. Don't let yourself be victimized by the age you live in. It's not the times that will bring us down any more than it's society. When you put the blame on society, you end up turning to society for the solution. Just like those poor neurotics at the Care Fest. There's a tendency today to absolve individuals of moral responsibility and treat them as victims of social circumstance. You buy that, you pay with your soul. It's not men who limit women. It's not straights who limit gays. It's not whites who limit blacks. What limits people is lack of character. What limits people is that they don't have the fucking nerve or imagination to star in their own movie, let alone direct it. Yuck. Yuck, Bernard? Yum. Yum? Yum. Now we're at the end of one epoch and well before the start of a new one. During this period of transition, there will be no moratorium on individual aliveness. In fact, momentous events are hatching in the vacuum. It's a wonderful time to be alive, as long as one has enough dynamite. Or enough toot, said the captain, who just walked up with a plate of cocaine. Bernard did a line. Lee Cherie was hesitant. Come on, said Bernard. The stuff's so fine Julius Caesar called for it with his dying breath. A toot, Brutus, is what he said. Come on, try it. Lee Cherie did a line. Then Julietta did one. Perhaps Julietta was remembering the snuff her royal employers used to snort in the good old days. The days when she would watch the swans sailing in the castle moat, never dreaming that one day, frogless, she would sail a moonlit ocean with a cargo of goofiness and love. The sloop reached Honolulu on Saturday afternoon. The following morning, the princess and Julietta and Bernard Mickey Wrangle, listed once again as T. Victrola Firecracker, flew home to whatever stings or honeys awaited them in the vibrating American hive.